Hi Year 5 and welcome to Lesson 5 of our week, our final one. And today I thought we would have a look at some mapping skills. We were using mapping yesterday. In fact, we were using very simple grid references to locate places in London. Places where Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson visited when they were solving their many baffling cases. So today we are going to use our mapping skills to locate places, but we're going to use them in a more precise manner. So today we're going to use 4 and 6 figure grid references to locate places on a map. We're going to be able to know that we can do that by giving coordinates where we go along and then up, rather like we were doing yesterday, so along the corridor and then up the stairs. And we're going to locate things on a map using 4 or 6, ideally, figure coordinates. And we're going to be rather like Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson. We're going to be using these to crack a code and to solve a mystery. Okay, let's have a look at a grid reference now. Right, Year 5, we have here a little grid with some different places located on it, and we're going to have a bit of a practice first of all at just using our coordinates to locate these places. Now, rather like yesterday, we are going to give our coordinates going along the corridor first and then up the stairs as our second grid reference or coordinate. Now, you will notice that we have numbers on both sides now, so it's really important that we remember to go along the corridor first. Okay, so let's have a go together. Maybe get a piece of paper so you can jot them down. Right, ready? So we're going to start with the lighthouse. So here it is in this square here. So write down on your piece of paper what you think the coordinate or the grid reference for the location of the lighthouse is. You should have 5, 7. So we go along the corridor to 5 in the 5th square, and we go up to 7, 7th square up. So it is 5, 7. Let's try the golf course. So here, off you go. Yep, so you should have 6, we go along to 6 and up 5. Parking, down the bottom. Yep, so you should have 2 and then 1 up. Viewpoint. So you should have 7 and then 3 up. Cycle path. 2 and 6. Castle. 5 and 5. Campsites. That's right, 3 and 4. Bus station. 4, 2. Church. 6, 1. A nature reserve. 1, 4. Well done, Year 5, if you got those. Okay, that was a little bit of a warm-up. Let's learn how to use 4 and 6 grid references now. Right, well, maps are covered in a crisscross with lots of horizontal and vertical lines. Now it creates a grid. And I don't know if you've ever looked at an OS map, an Ordnance Survey map, and on there you will see a blue grid. Now, if you haven't looked at an Ordnance Survey map, I suggest that you have a look at one online. You can go to Ordnance Survey website online, or ask an adult at home if they have any Ordnance Survey maps that you can have a look at. It's quite good fun actually looking at one, particularly of an area that you're familiar with, and having a look and locating different places that you recognise and you're familiar with. So what does this grid do? Well, basically the grid is there to help us pinpoint exactly the location of something that we are looking for, whether we want to travel to it, walk to it in any way we like. And it helps us to find that place and pinpoint its location precisely. So, did you know that on an Ordnance Survey map, each square represents the same size area? So 1 square equals 1 square kilometre. So 1 kilometre squared. Did you know that Great Britain is covered in a big grid system, the national grid system, which splits our country into big squares, and each of those squares is 100 kilometres across. Now, this can help us to provide a unique reference system to each area of Great Britain, and it is applied to all of the Ordnance Survey maps. Now, each square is easily identified by the 2 letters that it has been given. So can you see which 2 letters would the area of Kent be? Have a look now. Yeah, so Kent would be right down the bottom, and our grid reference down here would be TR for the area of Kent. Now on the grid we have the horizontal lines. Now these run across the map. They run towards the east, so from west to east. And as they go further and further eastwards, the numbers get larger and larger. These are called Eastings. And then equally going up a map, running from south to north up the country, we have the Northings. And again, the numbers increase in value the further north you go. Right, so to create a 4-figure grid reference, similar to as we were doing before, we use the 2 digits of the Easting and the 2 digits of the Northing to create a 4-figure grid reference. Now this is the reference for the bottom left-hand corner of a square on the map. This makes it easier to search the map for features. So in this example here, to the bottom left-hand corner of the pink square, what would our 4-figure grid reference be? Yeah, so our 4-figure grid reference for the pink square would be 3243. Remember, we always start with the Eastings first along the corridor, and then we use the Northings up the stairs. We must get that in the right order. Right, so we can make our grid references even more precise. So we can create a 6-figure grid reference by adding an extra number to both the Easting and the Northing. Now we do this because it helps us to work out whereabouts in the square our feature that we're looking for is. So we do this by imagining that each square is actually a 10 by 10 grid. So if the feature is about halfway, then the extra number would be a 5. Now this helps us to pinpoint something within the 100 meters on the map. So if we were looking for a car park, it wouldn't take up the whole of that square. It might be within that square, and we can use a 6-figure grid reference to pinpoint the exact location within 100 meters on the map. So take a look at the pink square with that arrow now, and we're looking at the bottom left-hand corner of that pink square. So what would your 6-figure grid reference be for that pink square? So take the easting first of the large square, then the northing of that large square. And now you should have a 4-figure grid reference. And now we want to make that a 6-figure grid reference, and now we're looking for that small square within. So similar to before, go along and then up. Make a note of what you've got. Let's see, you should have 32, 4, 4, 3, 3. Let's have a look at Y. So we've got 32, so that's our easting. So we go 32 across, and then we are in this corner here. And now we want to know within this square, so we go across. Now it's roughly not quite halfway, it's a little bit below halfway, and because we've got our grids on this one, we can actually count. So it's the 4th square along. So it's 3, 2, and then 4 across. And then we go to our northing. So we go up north. We've got 43. So we make a note of that. Now again, we look at how far north our square is, our pink square is. It's not halfway. We know it's under 5. It's more than 1, and actually because we've got our grid here, we can count it is 3. So 4, 3, 3. Okay, so with your detective hats on, you're going to use your mapping skills to use a 6-figure grid reference to locate places on the map. And once we've got that place, it will give us some letters to help us crack the code. Now, you have these as a PDF on your webpage, so you may be able to have a look at those and be able to see it in more detail. Let's go through one together now. So we take our first one here, and it's 121209. We're looking at our map and our grid references here. So it says 121 now, 121. You look and you say there's not 121 along the bottom. Well, remember that the first 2 digits is the square that it is located in. So our eastings, remember, along the corridor first. So we look for the number, the first 2 digits makes 12. So we look for 12. Here it is. Okay, and it says 12, 1. So I know that 1 is, I'm going to divide this square up mentally into rows and columns of 10, a 10 by 10 square. And I know that 1 would not be all the way down here because that would be too close to 13. So 1 would be around about here in this line here. Okay, now I need to know how far up I'm going. So I'm looking at my northing. Again, it's not 209 because I haven't got 209 along here. I take the first 2 digits to give me the reference to the square that it is in. So I take the number 20, so 2 and a 0. So it's in the first square. Okay, so I don't need to go all the way up here. It's in this first square. So I'm looking at this square here. So 12, 20. And I know that I'm looking at 12, 1, so this part of the square. And I'm looking at 20 and then 9, so it's higher up in this square. Okay, so if I divide it up, so 9 is really close, and I would say, let's change the colour, I would say it's there, because I've got 12 and 20 to give me this square here. I've got 12, 1 to give me this row here, and 29, which is at the top here. Now you may not be able to see that on your screen, but I've looked at the printout of this map and it says motel. So I would then write the word motel on my grid over here. And the letter in the circle would be the letter that I would need for my code. In this case, it would be O from motel. So go ahead and have a look at those PDFs and see if you can crack the code by locating these places on the map. Now the one that I'm showing you is the one with 3 stars, so it's map 2 out of the 2 resources that I've given you. There is a map 1, which is a slightly easier one if you want to start with that one first and then move on to this one. So map 1 is easier and map 2, which is this one, is harder. So see how you get on. I really look forward to seeing if you manage to crack the code and unscramble the letters and find that other location hidden on this map. Now, if you've enjoyed this mapping, I will also put a link on for the the Ordnance Survey website, because there's some great little ideas there that you can do as a family when you're out and about, and there's some great web page for you to explore, games and things for you to do to practice your mapping skills. So I'll put all those links on for you. Happy mapping and exploring, and I can't wait to see if you crack that code. Have fun, Year 5, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.